It's about to get hotter than a spicy tuna roll. Put on your party clothes. I'm JT Harding, and this is the Libby Show!
How did she do it? Do it.
Libby. Libby. Libby.
3, 2,
Libby.
1.
It's the Libby Show.
What's going on, everybody? Libby here with the Libby Show. Today we are back with a brand new episode. Songwriter and brand new author of Party Like a Rockstar, JT Harding himself.
Do not adjust your computers. I'm really dressed like this. Hello.
Hello, welcome.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yes.
I like your shirt. It says "Read,
Thank you.
everyone."
Is this whiskey? Oh, no.
I mean, I mean, there is a Natty Light in the fridge if you really want to change it up. So,
You look fantastic.
Thank
Your
you.
outfit is incredible.
thank you.
Yes.
I wore the colors, the extra colors for you,
Oh,
because I
good,
know you're
good.
into the cheetah print and the.
Yes.
You know, this book, I laughed out loud so much
Thank you.
going through it. Party Like a Rockstar out now. Amazon, #1.
Number 1 on Amazon. Yes, Party Like a Rockstar is the book that I wrote. It's available everywhere. I also did the audio version. Did you know that? Apparently,
now I wanna listen to
apparently
it.
Morgan Friedman was unavailable. So if you like to put your headphones on and enjoy a long romantic walk to the refrigerator, you can hear it on the audiobook. But no, thanks so much. We've known each other for a while, but
Yeah.
I didn't know anybody in the music business, but I loved watching MTV and listening to the radio. And so I wrote the book because I've written a bunch of hits now, and I just wanted people ask me all the time, how did you get into the music business?
Yeah.
So it's basically the story, thanks to the music business, my heart's been broken more than the ice cream machine at the McDonald's up the street. So you can learn from my mistakes, and if I can do it, anybody can.
Well, it's awesome. I mean, there's so much attention to detail of the stories. And so I want to know first, there's a lot of situations that you talk about from your high school years.
Yes.
So talk about that and how that was formative in your creativity and who you are now,
Yes.
and why that was just so great setting up the reader for the story that you were telling.
Perfect. Well, first of all, I had long hair. It was probably as long as yours. I used enough hairspray to, kill the ozone layer. So in my community, Grosse Pointe, Michigan, I was so lucky because we had a battle of the bands. I don't know if they have those everywhere, but I'm watching MTV. Michael Jackson is lighting up the sidewalk, and Madonna's singing like a virgin in a wedding dress, and David Lee Roth jumping off the drum riser. Instead of just dreaming about it, we had a battle of bands, and I'm like, we got to put a band together. So Grosse Pointe was incredible for that. There were all sorts of people that played drums and guitar, and I wasn't any kind of virtuoso. I was a virtuoso, but I could pose and sing, and so I put a band together, and that's what I remember about Grosse Pointe. It was a great place to grow up, and I wasn't too much different in high school.
Yeah. Well, people get the pictures too in the books.
Oh, definitely,
They get to see everything.
This is me actually in the 8th grade Battle of the Bands. I don't know if you can see that, smashing a guitar, and as you can tell, I hate attention. I've got the bandanas and the rip clothes. So, Libby, I don't know if you know this. When I swung that guitar, because I was trying to imitate Kiss,
Yeah.
I hit it on the ground. The fillings in my teeth rattled. It is so hard to break a guitar. No one had ever told me that these guys break it first, maybe glue it back together.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally was like Bugs Bunny. I slammed it and my body shattered and the guitar was brand new.
Or then
So-
they have one that's already half broken, so it's not really that much work.
They must, because I've never done it again.
Influences during that time, you mentioned Duran Duran a lot, obviously.
Oh,
Was
totally,
influential as well
Yes.
as songwriting. So talk
The
about
only
that.
time I thought I was gay, the first time I saw Duran Duran. But anyway, yes, I loved growing up the hard rock Kiss and Van Halen and all these loud things.
Yeah.
But then when I started getting into, I can't play guitar like all those 80s guys. So I started getting into George Michael and Duran Duran, and then I saw Bruce Springsteen in concert. I just started getting more into songwriting. I believe, Motley Crue and Rat and these bands, they do have great songs, but it wasn't the kind of songs I felt I could write. And I've always had an instinct that I would have to write my own songs because the local musicians I looked up to as a kid, I started seeing them working at guitar stores or singing Brown Eyed Girl at a wedding, which there's nothing wrong with that, but that wasn't for me. I wanted to be on the radio, and before my friends' graduation caps bounced on the green grass at Grosse Pointe South, I was already living on the most unglamorous corner of Hollywood, because I would look on the back of all my CDs like I was studying the treasure map in Goonies, and they all said Sunset Boulevard, and I was like, I've got to get to California.
Yeah. And you were there for a while. You worked with Linkin Park, by the way, and
Yes.
that's a huge part of your story
It
and
is.
development.
It is.
But I mean, like, really quickly, country music, like, how did you get to that place where you decided you were going to write for that genre as opposed to these other genres mostly?
Great question. So it all just kind of happened naturally.
Yeah.
And I'm not the person that says, well, read the book. I'll tell you all of it. So I had record deals in Los Angeles. I got a job at a record store, but this was before the internet. So not only in school to show off my clothes, I didn't have Instagram, so I had to walk to the pencil sharpener twice a class. I was in Los Angeles, and I couldn't just like look up a record company or call.
Yeah.
You couldn't get in. But I knew this girl whose roommate worked at FedEx. So I borrowed her FedEx jacket. And like Obi-Wan Kenobi sauntering into the Death Star, I took my CD into every record company, past the security guards, past the promotion guys. So I was so naive that something like that could happen. I did get a record deal. It fell through. I was kind of worn out from chasing the dream, but I got a job working for Linkin Park, and they started letting me open up for them. And if you ever, to anyone watching, if you've never stood on stage holding an acoustic guitar and 30,000 people all screaming, you suck, it gives you a chill, doesn't it? So that actually happened. And anything not tied down was being thrown at me.
Yeah.
I got struck with a quarter, and I was literally bleeding from the head. But in the next day, in the newspaper, there was a huge picture. Chester of Linkin Park had come out to rescue me.
Yeah.
This is all true. The next day in the newspaper, there's a review of the Linkin Park concert, a picture of Chester and I, which is in the book, and a little paragraph that said the opening act was a one-man band named the JT Experience. Despite bleeding from the head, he finished a 3-song promising set. So someone saw that and said, oh, I've heard this guy's songs. He lost his record deal, but his songs are like 3-minute movies. He should go to Nashville. So I ended up in Nashville, not purposely trying to write country, but it just sort of, worked out. So you're a good listener. It's a very long story, and I've been trying to write a pop song that turned into a country song ever since. It's hard to do. So I just got very lucky,
Yeah, and I mean, you even talk about the song that you wrote with the Jonas Brothers too. So
Yes,
you've
yes.
had those moments of being able to cross genre and everything.
Totally. And I wrote Somewhere With You that Kenny Chesney put out, but at the time, for 2 years straight, everyone passed on the song because it has that fast singing, laughing aloud on a convoy. Everyone said, well, this isn't a country song. We sing songs like Just Breathe. And I was like, well, I'm just being myself, And I wrote it with Shane McAnally, who had been in town almost 14 years and never had a hit. So I think just by being myself, I just got really lucky that country fans and country artists embraced what I was doing.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Different for Girls. I loved the story behind that one. I feel like you really went into detail of maybe some assumptions that people have about what that song's about. So, can you share more about that
Absolutely. Different for Girls. Another one I wrote with Shane. He was actually going to be here. He had a tanning appointment. But
Hey, Shane.
yeah.
Miss you.
I love these questions. The song titles are just everywhere.
Yeah, they are.
They're just, you just have to be open to them. So I actually met a girl on an airplane, a woman who I thought was really great. And we started talking on the phone, and she was just so together, and she'd just gotten a real estate license, and she was finishing college. She reminded me of you. She was just smart and energetic. I ran into a friend of hers at a Starbucks in Green Hills, and she said, oh, you're talking...
That's where everybody runs into each other, by the way. Now.
Yes, totally.
It's the specific Starbucks in Green Hills.
And her friend said to me, oh, you're talking to so-and-so. Yeah, she's going through a really bad breakup. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it. So I said to her, hey, are you going through a breakup? And I said, you don't seem like it. And she said, well, what am I supposed to do? Just like play video games all day and skip work and not shower? And I was like, I resemble that remark. So I had another buddy at the time in California going through a bad breakup. He quit going to work. He was picking fights. He was calling every ex he ever had. And I just thought, this is a great song idea. So I just had this idea. It's different for girls. Not all girls, just some girls. And that's how it came. And I've learned in Nashville, if you have an idea that you really like, to save it for a good co-writer. And Shane and I have had great success together. So I took it to Shane. And I'll never forget it. He said, it's different for girls. He said, I know what you're talking about. You know what you're talking about. But we have to make sure the audience knows. And he came up with the great line, when the going gets tough, guys can just act tough. And it was kind of like the glue that put the whole song together, yeah. And we sent it immediately to Eric Church because it was perfect for him. And he said, no thanks. But luckily it made its way to Dierks Bentley and Elle King, and they made it a #1 song. So yeah, real fortunate again. You know, we write a lot of songs. I don't know how they get recorded, but that's a good one. Yeah.
Well, and also like the fact that it became a duet too.
Absolutely.
It makes it amplifies the message of that song. Talk about why. I mean, like, you've obviously talked about all these songs in different interviews, but what did it mean to actually write them down in your own words in your own memoir? Was there a little bit of a different experience? Did you remember some details that you would have never thought of?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Yes. So speaking of details, so when I first wrote the book and I sent it to the publisher, they said, we like all your details. We need more. So to anyone out there that's thinking of writing a book, because I wrote it by myself, it's a compliment. Some people say, "Oh, did you have a ghostwriter?" Which I didn't. Have you heard my songs? But so when you're writing a book, it's almost like you have to remember to describe things. It's almost like imagine someone's looking at your Instagram, but they can't see it. So you have to describe exactly,
that means
what it is.
They're blocked.
Yeah. That's funny. You blocked me. Yeah. So I would say I came to the Libby show, and there was a giant, an egg white table, and she was smiling like the girl from Bewitched in the 70s, the beautiful TV star, and she had sunflowers that were banana yellow on her shirt or whatever. So I would go back in my mind and think, okay, what was happening when we wrote Sangria? Josh Osborne was sitting underneath his merry-go-round platinum record that he got with Casey Musgrave. So I would remember things like that and remember conversations we had. Like, for instance, after we wrote Somewhere With You, Shane was going to move back to Los Angeles because he couldn't get anything going here. And I remember saying to him, well, let's write a bunch. We were at Fido. I said, let's write a bunch before you leave. And I remember saying, someone's going to write a book about this one day. This is going to be a hit. So you do, all those images do come back. Or when I wrote Smile with Uncle Kracker, I was trying to think, what was it like? And he really chain smokes, and my eyes were as red as the Netflix logo when we were writing. And I was like, oh yeah, it was funny. So yeah, a lot of details kind of pop out. Yeah.
For sure. What was, your favorite song to write about in that chapter of the book? Like the one that came to mind first to tell people about. That's important.
Another great question. I was set up to write with Darius Rucker, who I'd never met before. It was the peak of quarantine, and a tornado had come through Nashville. I'm sure you remember.
That's right.
And my power was out for 5 days, and I didn't mind missing Netflix or not checking it Instagram, but I was not going to miss this write with Darius Rucker. There's no way. Mm-hmm. So I drove to the Starbucks. It was like a human game of the video game Frogger. There were trees down everywhere. Remember that? Starbucks closed, Wi-Fi off. I went to the Hampton Inn in Green Hills. They were like, you can't come. We're not open. It's like quarantine. So I zigzagged through the streets to my publisher, Rusty Gaston's house. If you don't know, we all are signed to publishing companies, and they're the ones we turn our songs into. And I rang the doorbell, and his little boy was in like a Hulk outfit, looking through the window, sticking his tongue out at me. And I was like, I'm trying to get you into a good college, get your father. So Rusty kind of appeared, and I said, I'm supposed to write with Darius Rucker. I don't have any Wi-Fi. And he was like, no problem. So I sat on his porch. I don't think Darius actually knows this. And I Zoomed with Darius Rucker, and we ended up writing a #1 song called Beers and Sunshine. I love that story because I love that Rusty is such a great publisher that he let me do it at his house, and that now I get to tell the story. And once again, I was not going to miss a write with Darius Rucker. That song, I had the most brilliant idea for a song. The only BS I need is bikinis and sunshine. Sounds like a 70s Elvis movie, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And we started writing it with Josh Osborne, Darius, and Ross Copperman. And I think about halfway through, Darius was like, let's make it more universal. What about beers and sunshine? And I was like, he's a genius.
There we go. Yeah. Do you find,
he hates bikinis, I guess. No.
Do you find that to be common sometimes when you're writing country songs for them to have to reach both male and female, or does it really matter? Like, does it?
Oh, what a good question. I don't usually think about that, but I wrote a song called Alone With You for Jake Owen.
Okay.
That there's a line in there, don't put your hands up my shirt and say it's okay, something like that. Don't put your lips up to my mouth, tell me you can't. So I think everyone thought it was going to be for a girl.
Yeah.
But it was just a stroke of luck and genius that Jake Owen put it out, because he's great looking. He's like, hey, I don't wear shoes, I play golf, I'm the man. So to have him singing kind of an intimate, vulnerable song like that, totally unplanned, I just thought was incredible, coming after Barefoot Blue Jean Night. So I don't purposely sit down and say this should be for a girl or a guy, but that is an instance of a song that I think a girl could have sang.
Adoption is a huge part of your story.
Yes.
You talk a lot about your biological parents as well as your, adopted parents. Your biological being a DJ, by the way.
Yes.
And you found that out later. And he also happens to be a public figure. So can you talk about that?
Absolutely. Yes, my birth certificate is an apology from a condom company. It's hanging on my wall frame. Brings a tear to your eye, doesn't it? So I was adopted as a child. I was born in Nashville. I feel like I won the lottery of life. I feel like I was taken by the hand of God and given to the Hardings, my family. And my book opens up. My parents I was brought into this world by a couple that loved me so much they had to give me away. Truly, my dad. I found all this out later. My biological father, it gets confusing, was an overnight DJ at a college. Mm-hmm. And these girls started calling up and requesting songs. And they were acting kind of funny, probably in a place that looked like this, very, mid-70s. And he started playing songs for one of the girls over the radio. And she would call in late at night and request. And they kind of fell for each other over the radio. With a beginning like that, I'm surprised I'm not as big as Elvis. So then I was adopted by the Hardings. They couldn't take care of me. And my family are incredible. And they were really into sports. And I was this crazy rock and roller. So I just had this incredible upbringing. And then years later, I was living in Hollywood. And my biological mother had found me. Is this the answer to the question?
Yes.
Yeah. My biological mother had found me, and a couple months in, after talking to her on the telephone, she said, I would like to tell you who your real father is. And she just got real serious. And she said, he's not like other people. And my brain, it's like when someone says that.
It's like, what did they do?
Thank you. I'm trying to be nice. What did they do? Are they okay?
Yeah.
And I said, oh, is he okay? And she said, oh, yeah, he's okay. He's an actor. He was on Cheers. And I knew that she was serious. I could just tell. And so my brain was like the Terminator looking for a human. I was like, cheers, cheers. And my roommates were standing by the phone because in Hollywood I was broke at the time. And I just said, I'm rich. My biological dad is Ted Danson because that's the only person I could think that looked like me. And she said, no, his name is Jay Thomas. And I was like, Jay Thomas?
Carla's
Carla's husband. Yeah, it didn't mean anything to me, but the room started spinning as if I was on Happy Days when they went back to Land of the Lost or something. Yeah. Because at the end of my street in Hollywood, on a giant side of a building, was a picture of Jay Thomas, his head on the body of a woman. He was a gigantic DJ as well. And it said Power 106. Look at your face. That's what I was. Power 106. We apologize for Jay Thomas. I couldn't believe. I was like, wait, is this a joke? Is this really happening? I went to a movie premiere. I just stood in line trying to meet Prince to give him my demo. Jay Thomas, my biological father, who I'd never met, who I didn't even know was my dad, was emceeing the movie premiere. And my friends and I were heckling him. He was on Mork and Mindy and Murphy Brown. So it was very crazy. And, it's not like he's Tom Hanks or something, but it was still pretty surreal.
He is a significant character in the series,
Yes, definitely. So. And he was in Mr. Holland's Opus at the time, so there were billboards everywhere. It was just wild, yeah. And then we were like two long-lost fraternity brothers. I mean, we got on like gangbusters, yeah. So, but I wasn't looking for anything. I didn't have an empty spot in my soul or anything like that. So it was great to meet him, but I would never replace the Hardings, my family, for anything. Yeah, but this should be a book. Yeah.
I mean,
my story sounds like such a bad movie. Jay Thomas should star in it. Yeah, Party Like a Rock Star, available everywhere. Hardcover too. Hardcover too.
It matches the studio it happens to be. I didn't even. Yeah, it's so great. Do you find yourself watching old Cheers episodes now, or did you go back and watch them and or?
Absolutely. Yeah. And his real personality is just like he is on Murphy Brown, kind of smarter than everybody. He's thinks all of her friends are idiots because he hated music. He was like, Bob Dylan's a moron. Elvis is a thief. The Beatles are hippie freaks. He said, if there wasn't drugs and a stack of money in an envelope, your record was not being played on my radio station. Woo, he's probably going to get in trouble. So, but also people always tell me, it happens all the time, someone will text me and say, Jay's on the Golden Girls, so I'll kind of flip through the channels, and there he is in a flowered shirt acting like a loudmouth, yeah. And he got fired from Cheers for making fun of Carla on the radio, and she was
What?
married. She still is to Danny DeVito, and you just don't make fun of. It just didn't go over well. If he didn't get fired from Cheers, I'd have 100 of these suits. We'd be millionaires. Yeah. He got fired from every show he was on because he would go on the radio and just make fun of everybody. I mean, what can you know?
Well, I literally thought of it as Carla's husband because my mom's name is Carla.
Oh.
So there's not many characters with that name. So I was like, oh my god, LOL. That's like.
Yes. Did you just say LOL?
I said LOL.
I love that. I met some girls lately, and they were like, JK, JK. I was like, are you Harry Potter fans? And they were like, no, that means just kidding. Yeah. Wow.
Kidding.
LOL. The Libby Show. Woo.
You just made up your own jingle for it.
Yes. It's what I do. Yeah.
We'll add it to a compilation later. It'll be good. So with your adoption story, I just think it's really great how, positive you are about it and encouraging others, especially with your contest that's out, right?
Oh, thanks for mentioning it. And don't forget, I was very lucky. I've heard many adoption
Yeah.
stories that I just got really lucky. Great parents. Jay was great. He has an incredible wife and 2 sons that I'm best friends with. Yes, so to give back, I've decided to do something. It is totally free. If you or someone you know is adopted and they would like to write a song with me over Zoom, all you have to do is go to writelikearockstar.com, send me your adoption story, and a little clip of you singing or playing any song you like from the radio. It's not a talent competition. It's just a way to see if you like music. So yeah, it's writelikearockstar.com, and then we'll choose a winner, and I'll write with them over Zoom, and it's going to be great. I'll record the song in Nashville. I wrote Beers and Sunshine over Zoom. I mean, anything could happen.
Anything could happen.
Yeah.
I mean, this could be a #1 in your next book.
Yeah, totally.
know?
My next book, yes.
So Write Like a Rock Star. How long is it going on for? Is it through Adoption Awareness
So
Month?
Adoption Month is November, but I
Yeah.
think this goes probably till September 15th. When does this air?
This airs very soon.
Yeah, good.
Soon enough that all of this is
Yes.
relevant.
Yes. The book is called Party Like a Rockstar. It's writelikearockstar.com. It's really simple. And for some reason, I love saying this. It is absolutely free.
Yeah, absolutely free.
Yeah.
Any advice or encouragement you would give someone that's, going through adoption process or is seeking out their biological parents or just struggling with mental health in general?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, I don't have any children yet, but I just know that a lot of people that are adopting children say to me, this might not even be the answer. Did you ever wish you weren't with them? And I don't even picture anyone else as my parents except for Larry and Kendra Harding. Even though I met Jay, even though I met my biological mother, it doesn't even cross your mind that it's hard to explain. My parents, Larry and Kendra Harding, and my brother Lance, that is my family, and I wouldn't trade them for the world. So I try to give people advice. I know people that have adopted children, they're like, when they grow up, are they going to wonder why they're with us? But I would say absolutely not, yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Yes.
Well, one last question for you.
Yes. Or give your children away, and then when they're successful, welcome them back into the family, like Jay Thomas did. Thank you.
There we go. That's another thing. Cheers to that.
Woo!
What else are you promoting? So you've got the book out, which is awesome, and then
I think that's enough. The book,
That's
the contest,
enough.
yes. Yeah, Party Like a Rockstar. It's available everywhere books are sold.
Everywhere, guys.
Oh, yes, online. The audio version I did myself, which was really fun. And then also the contest, Write Like a Rockstar. And thank you for having me. I've known you for years. You were super nice to me before I had
You
hits.
too as well.
Yeah, and you were always putting me. I mentioned NSAI, where you work, the Songwriting Association. If you're trying to get into songwriting, look up NSAI in Nashville. They're great. And once again, if I can write hit songs, anybody can. I just love music, and I talk about all the hits in the book, how we wrote them, how we got the title. I don't know the names of the chords, and I can't read music, and it's all very basic in there. So
this is like your step-by-step manual on how to be a rock star. So.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much, JT.
Yes,
for
Libby.
joining me. Yes.
Woo!
Oh, yeah. Thanks so much, guys, for watching. Go subscribe everywhere. YouTube, follow Facebook, Instagram. JTX Rockstar is your...
At JTX Rockstar, yeah, I'm easy to find, yeah. But follow
Yeah.
Libby O. That's great.
Love it. See you guys later.
It's the Libby Show. The Libby Show. It's the Libby Show. It's the Libby Show.